Are free and fair elections in New Hampshire a thing of the past? In an unprecedented move, the New Hampshire Ballot Law Commission redefines Article 2 Section 1 of the Constitution without a constitutional amendment. New Hampshire Ballot Law Commissioner Jane Clemons announces on the air that the commission did not follow the law during Orderly's ballot challenge hearing. "I'm sorry, but this woman does not seem to be one bit impartial, and holds a huge grudge towards Republicans. Jane's degrading of the birthers, and her lack of concern for the truth and law, shows she is not worthy of being a ballot law commissioner." The following recording was aired December 4, 2011. 2 weeks after Orderly's ballot commission hearing.
Hey, welcome back to the Granite State View. This is Peggy Gilmore in here in the studio with Betty Lasky.
Good morning again, everyone.
Here to talk more about New Hampshire going on. Going-ons in the Granite State.
Which is never dull.
Never dull.
Is it?
And we have another great guest in our studio.
Representative, a retired state representative, Jane Clemons, who, among other hats, has been chair of the Nashua City Democratic Committee, was chair of the Election Law Committee in the House, and after 20 years, Jane, you finally decided to hang up your state rep shoes.
I did indeed.
What any particular reason for that, other than you certainly have done your time?
That's how it feels sometimes, doing one's time. I chose to retire because, to be perfectly honest, I was really tired of the extreme partisanship. It wasn't that way in the beginning.
Yep.
And when it changed and became to the point where you voted yes if the other guy voted no, was to the point of gridlock and time wasting.
We've talked about this here before. I think that's one of the biggest cancers that is nibbling away at the fabric of our nation. The fact that we have a group of partisans, people, both sides. I'm not casting innocence here, that can not put their differences aside and make decisions that are in the best of the nation, the state, whatever you're talking about. How did we get here?
I believe it started as a national game plan. I do blame the other side for beginning this process. We did seem to join it.
The partisanship was started by the Republicans. Sorry, Jane, but the partisanship and division is coming from Obama, whom you are aiding and abetting. If the Republicans went along and never put up a fight, I can only imagine how much worse off we'd be right now. People like you, who do not care about the law, need to be removed from public office.
Well, it's a disservice to all of us.
It's a disservice to this country. Look what's going on in D.C. and look what's going on in the legislature right here in New Hampshire. It is people putting in their time and doing nothing for the people who elected them and who they promised to serve.
And Jane, you saw this full hand. Right now, you have been appointed to, as again, having been chair of election law, your expertise would be certainly in our election laws. And the governor saw fit to appoint you to the ballot commission. Is that correct?
I was actually appointed by the Speaker of the House.
Oh, sorry.
So tell us, many of us would profess ignorance on the ballot commission, what the ballot commission does, what their role is, and educate us, Jane.
It has been said, due to the last fiasco that we had, that it appeared to be all Democrats. Well, that is not true. It's never true. There are 5 members of the commission.
So the Election Law Commission, the Ballot Law Commission.
Established, it's a statutory, well, it's a commission, a statutory commission. It is in the statutes.
Correct. And there's 5 members. 2 are appointed by the Speaker of the House, 1 from each party. 2 are appointed by the President of the Senate, 1 from each party.
I just love how Jane stresses the phrase, 1 from each party. Yes, Jane. And did you know that there is a reason why it's done that way. It's to keep it fair and balanced. When there is a vacancy, such as with the Senate President Republican appointment, Sheila Roberge, by law, she was to be replaced with another Republican, but was replaced with a Democrat. 665, 2. Alternate member. There shall be 5 members present in person, at all meetings. In case any member of the commission is absent from any meeting, or unable to perform his or her duties, or disqualifies himself or herself, as commissioner, an alternate member, who shall have the same qualifications as those of the commissioner whose place he or she is temporarily filling, shall perform the duties of the commissioner. You also replaced the other vacancy with a Republican, who donates only to Democrats.
And then the governor gets an appointment. So there's 5, so there's never a tie vote, and it is bipartisan. And I'm happy to say this, it is a committee that does not take your party into its decision. We have worked together a number of times now, and the outcome is decided by the facts, not by the party, and I hope at least the ballot commission stays that way.
Now, who and what sorts of things come before the ballot commission?
Usually it's challenges to a ballot after mostly recounts, but occasionally there's a challenge because someone feels that a person's name is on the ballot, that they haven't met the requirements, such as living in the state for the required period of time, or using a different name other than what their name really is, that type of thing.
Oh, you mean like using the name Barack Obama, when your real name is Barry Soetoro?
But for the most part, it's after a recount, if someone's not satisfied with the outcome and the Secretary of State's decision, then it will go to the Ballot Law Commission, and then we will look at the ballots, and our job is to concur with the Secretary of State or disagree with the Secretary of State's decision. And our decision is final and cannot be challenged in a court.
So you're like an appeals court after the Secretary of State has had a determination.
Exactly.
So how often would this happen?
Almost always after a major election, a primary or a general election.
Now,
there's usually a challenge.
Can any one person can initiate a challenge?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the ballot law commission that we're talking about is strictly for
State and Congress.
State elections and federal elections?
Yes, we just recently had a challenge on the ballot for presidential primary. There was a challenge that was basically saying Barack Obama is not a citizen of the United States.
Oh my gosh, this lady is lying through her teeth. We did not say he was not a citizen. We are saying that he is not a natural-born citizen, as required by Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution. You are aware that there is a difference, right, Jane?
Well, I think that one of the things that brought us to asking you to give some clarification is simply that one, or not simply that one, but as some of us know, it's been all over Facebook and Twitter, and I saw an article in the lobby, which is from the Telegraph, really describing this situation that sounded quite disturbing, actually. So give us a more reasoned and objective picture of what happened, Jane.
The main challenger, and she's an attorney, and she has been on a number of television programs, cable news, and what have you. Dr. Orley, probably not going to pronounce her name right. Taitz, Taitz. She's an attorney, and she flew in from California to challenge Barack Obama's legitimacy as a U.S. citizen. She had, as she always does, a ton of paperwork with accusing him of a number of Social Security numbers, and
So he's not
it's a
legit.
situation where, truthfully, if you're familiar with situation of people who believe in conspiracies, no matter what you do, there's no end. There's no proof. Nothing is acceptable.
Excuse me? No matter what you do? What did you do, Jane, besides tell us all that is required to be on the ballot, is to fill out the form, and pay the $1,000 fee? Then saying that, we have no proof? I'm sorry, Jane, but we have mountains of proof. You just refuse to look at the facts. Let me just read you a few quotes from the framers of the 14th Amendment that prove without a doubt that Obama is ineligible to be the President of the United States. I sure hope you see this video, Jane, because these facts are straight from the horse's mouth, and they're impossible to dispute. All from other lands, who by the terms of congressional laws and a compliance with their provisions, become naturalized, are adopted citizens of the United States. All other persons born within the Republic, of parents owing allegiance to no other sovereignty, are natural-born citizens. 1862, Representative John Bingham, father of the 14th Amendment. Congressional Globe, 37th Congress, 2nd Session, page 1639. What exactly did subject to the jurisdiction thereof mean to the framers of the 14th Amendment? Luckily we have on record Senator Lyman Trumbull, chairman of the Judiciary Committee, author of the 13th Amendment, and the one who inserted the citizenship clause.
The provision is that the persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. That means subject to the complete jurisdiction thereof. What do we mean by complete jurisdiction thereof? Not owing allegiance to anybody else. That is what it means.
When Bingham's bill, the 14th Amendment, came back to the House with Trumbull's Citizenship Clause amendment, Bingham responded on record, saying, "I find no fault with the introductory clause, S-61 bill, which is simply declaratory of what is written in the Constitution, that every human being born within the jurisdiction of the United States, of parents not owing allegiance to any foreign sovereignty, is, in the language of your Constitution itself, a natural-born citizen." You've also got precedent with Supreme Court case Minor versus Happersett, which clearly states, at common law, with the nomenclature of which the framers of the Constitution were familiar, it was never doubted that all children born in a country of parents who were its citizens became themselves, upon their birth, citizens also. These were natives, or natural-born citizens, as distinguished from aliens, or foreigners.
Our job, what the Secretary of State said that he had met all the requirements to file his ballot in New Hampshire,
He
which
being President Obama.
right. And anybody can come into New Hampshire to get on a ballot. You have to state who you are, where you're born, where you live.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Did Jane just say you have to state where you were born? So, is she assuming that to be a natural-born citizen, one only needs to be born here? Jane, are you aware that you cannot just change the Constitution because you feel like it, without passing a constitutional amendment? It's appalling how just 5 people can have enough power to disenfranchise a whole state.
Pay your $1,000 and you're on the ballot under perjury if you have indeed perjured yourself in the form. That's all it is. $1,000, you are who you are, and if somebody finds out you're not, well, then you're going to be accused of perjury.
Hello, Earth to Jane, is anyone home? This is the reason Orly filed a ballot challenge, to show that Obama perjured himself, by claiming he was a natural-born citizen. As you just stated, the Secretary of State confirms the candidate, then the people have a right to appeal to the Ballot Law Commission. The Commission's job is to look at the evidence to make sure the right decision was made. Instead, the Commission stated their only job was to make sure the form was filled out and the fee was paid. If they have no authority to remove someone from the ballot, then why did the Commission overstep its boundaries in 2006 when they removed 8 people from being on the ballot for not meeting the requirements? And only now, after the hearing, do you admit that it is in fact your job to make sure that the candidate was born here? Pathetic. We knew you had the authority because we have the 2006 document where the Commission removed 8 candidates because they did not meet the requirements to be on the ballot. Document follows.
And that's a felony.
Of course.
Yeah.
And he certainly filled the requirements. And that's all the Ballot Law Commission does is look at what's in front of us. We are not in an investigatory group. We don't have the funds for it or the means for that.
And that's not your charge.
No. So we looked at the filing, and it was legitimate. And so therefore we found to agree with the Secretary of State that the ballot was absolutely acceptable. At that point, there were a number of people in the room, and unfortunately some of them were state representatives that became quite unruly.
Now, excuse me, Jane, these are open to the public.
Absolutely, anyone can come.
Anyone can come.
And they're publicized where? How would you know that this was going to take place? How would I know?
It's the Secretary of State.
On the website?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the person who brings the charge to the ballot law, he or she gets to speak.
They get to speak, and if they have anybody else, any witnesses with that has information that wants to testify, they are sworn in, they are under oath, and they may testify.
So I guess my point is that anyone who wanted to speak and was there would have had the opportunity to do so.
Absolutely.
If it were relevant.
Absolutely.
And that was the case. But obviously, those people weren't happy with your decision. And
Exactly.
what happened?
Well, at that point, there was a lot of yelling and carrying on, and we were called traitors. We should be arrested. Any number of things. What I wasn't aware of at the time was that the one of the assistant secretaries of state, Karen Ladd, and one of the assistant attorney generals, at some point they actually followed them and threatened them, and they locked themselves in a room and asked for security. I did not see that.
That happened that
This is
day?
what was reported
Subsequent.
afterwards. Yes. So it was. Again, I go back to when you're dealing with groups that believe in conspiracies, there's no good outcome because no matter what you offer as proof or whatever objectively, it's not enough. There's just no end to it. So I guess right now it's being investigated. Their behavior's being investigated.
Now, was the press there?
No.
No.
Well, there were some small town reporter taking everybody's name, and that's the only one I'm aware of. There was no news media or what have you.
But it did get reported.
Oh, yes.
So it's been reported widely.
Yes.
But no news media, because in an ordinary day, one would not think that the Ballot Law Commission was going to be the hot spot of a happening.
Right.
Right.
And remember, you've both been at the State House. The State House reporters have access. They can not show up and be in their offices and still hear what's going on.
Right. So they have the live
yes,
stream. Yeah. Well, so that's unfortunate because, of course, this has gone now to the national media.
Oh, yeah.
And it shows our state representatives. The thing that was most disturbing to me was, I don't know if this is accurate, but I read a quote that he said that when the Ballot Law Commission, when you leave your homes, you better wear a mask. And I assume that's so you wouldn't be identified. That, to me, that's over the top.
It is.
Yeah.
It's over the top. And I think it's important. As everybody knows, we are the first in the nation primary. We have savvy voters in New Hampshire.
Yep.
And access to a ballot is very simple process in New Hampshire. And well, it should be, because one of the historical, you might say, facts about our primaries are that people that you never hear of have an opportunity. That's how Jimmy Carter became so well known. Nobody knew who he was except in Georgia.
Peanut farmer.
You have access to
Yeah.
our ballot. You can go from one end of the state to the other end of the state in a matter of hours, and we don't want to make it complicated. And people who are going to perjure themselves are going to perjure themselves wherever they are, and we have not had that happen here. And I'm sure one of the backlashes is going to be more than one person trying to make it more difficult to get access to our ballot, and that would be really unfortunate because we are unique in New Hampshire.
Right.
Nationwide, people know we are not foolish about our elections. We take them seriously. We vet our candidates, and we have a lot of pride in our primaries.
Right, and we do a good job. And
We do.
Nationally, it's been known as that. Representative Jane Clemons has been with us and has talked about the latest challenge against President Obama to be
Well-
on our ballot.
And our theme there, you can't always get what you want. Well, apparently what they wanted was this old birther issue that President Obama was not born in Hawaii, that it's a grand conspiracy, that somebody 40, how old is he, 45? 45 years ago had the foresight to put a birth announcement in the Honolulu Daily News
you're
or
right.
whatever it was.
Right.
So they, what drives people? I mean, give it up.
Yeah, and Jane saw this firsthand when the Ballot Law Commission made their decision, rightly so, and then they went nuts. I can't think of another way, kinder way to put it.
Well, if you and everybody has access to it, if you read in the election laws what it takes to get on the ballot, it should never have come before us because the qualifications are quite simple.
And the Secretary of State had made a ruling,
Yes.
and it ordinarily would have been left at that.
Right.
But these people are not tenacity. I guess you have to give them that. They're
I
not going.
don't know why they thought we would do anything different. Obviously, they don't really know what the
Well,
Ballot Law Commission's all about.
And don't you think that sometimes they're just using whatever they can for a forum
This
to
is
get
true.
them out? And maybe if we didn't pay attention to some of these people, they might go away.
So maybe we should put it to rest.
Yeah.
We're done. You
Well,
made your ruling, and
It's
we're
done. It's over. There was a request for a rehearing. It's been denied.